This is your official WWE SummerSlam 2020 review here on the JBSN Media Network YouTube channel. Jeff here with you. It took place from the Amway Center in Orlando, Florida, or as they're calling it, the Thunderdome. Before we get into the main show here, this was Renee Young's final appearance with WWE. She is leaving WWE to pursue other opportunities. I think most of us know where she may be going next, but we do wish her nothing but the best and what's ahead for her. A very big loss for WWE indeed. They had one match on their kickoff show. It was a rematch with the WWE United States title. We had Apollo Crews defending that title against MVP. Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin were banned from ringside because of a match that happened on television, which Apollo Crews won. So they had the match here. There was really nothing special about this match. The one big spot that most everyone will remember from the match, if you even watched it, was a terrible looking superplex spot off the top rope by MVP. It looked very sloppy, did not look good. It could have ended bad actually, but they were able to recover. The match ends in 6 minutes and 35 seconds when Apollo Crews won to retain, as we all expected he would, with his toss-up Tiger Bomb. So he got the win here. Lashley and Benjamin did come out afterwards to try to do a beatdown angle on Apollo Crews. He was able to escape yet again, so a spot we've seen time and time again. So really nothing special about that. I mean, this was the expected outcome. I picked Apollo Crews like pretty much everyone else. So he won to retain. This is likely setting up an Apollo Crews Bobby Lashley match that we should have gotten here at SummerSlam. Instead, they're going to probably do that at Payback. So I gave the match a D+. Really nothing memorable about the match. So that's what we had as far as that goes. They kicked off the main portion of SummerSlam. They jerked the curtain with the first of the two Asuka matches here. The SmackDown Women's title match was first here. We had Bayley defending that SmackDown Women's title against Asuka here. This was actually pretty good stuff here. Good action here from both these ladies. Thought they told a pretty good story overall. We just get to the end here after back and forth for a while. They do a deal here where, Sasha's going to help Bayley lane the match. Asuka's coming off the ropes here. Asuka winds up nailing Sasha Banks with her, what I call her butt bump. Anyways, Bayley was able to use that distraction once Asuka nailed Sasha to eliminate her to the outside and rolled her up on an inside cradle to win at 11 minutes and 50 seconds to retain the title here. As expected here, I think pretty much me and everyone else expected Bayley to retain, which is exactly what happened here. This was a very good match, 11 minutes, 50 seconds. Bayley retaining as we all figured. I gave it a B. I thought this was pretty good stuff here. And sure enough, Asuka would wrestle yet again later on. We'll talk about them when we get to that match with Sasha Banks. Next up here was a WWE Raw Tag Team title match here. We had the Street Profits defending those titles against Andrade Cien Almas and Angel Garza. Selena Vega was out there as well. Kevin Owens came out here. He did commentary for the match. He did announce that Aleister Black will make an appearance on the Kevin Owens show on Raw. That has since been confirmed, so we'll be seeing Aleister Black make his return here. So they have the match here, and by the way, someone please explain to me why Bianca Belair was nowhere to be found here. She was not out in the corner of the Street Profits. You think that would have made sense for her to be out there and be in their corner, but she was nowhere to be found here. So they have the match here. Garza and Andrade control most of the match. They get most of the heat in on the Profits. The Profits make the comeback here, and ultimately they did a spot here on the outside when Zelina Vega, who was up on the ropes, she took a bump off the apron out to the floor. Andrade went to check up on her, leaving Angel Garza all by himself, and then the Street Profits were able to hit the splash here. It was Montez Ford in the end who hit the splash on Angel Garza to win the match for the Street Profits in 7 minutes and 49 seconds. They retained the tag team titles as I figured they would here. They were my pick, and I think a lot of people also picked them to retain here. Really nothing much to say about this match otherwise. I gave it a C-. The Raw Tag Team division is a joke. The SmackDown Tag Team division is a joke. So, and yet we didn't have the SmackDown Tag Team titles defended on the show here because they were defended on SmackDown. Go figure. So that's all there is to say about the match. Really nothing else to say. Again, maybe kind of planting the seeds, and again, maybe Andrade and Angel Garza will split up. We'll see, but they failed to win the titles, as a lot of us expected. 7 minutes, 49 seconds, I gave it a C-. Next match on the card was a no disqualification loser leaves town match here between Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. It was originally supposed to be a hair versus hair match. That was nixed on television on SmackDown prior to this, so Sonya Deville raised the stakes here. I thought this was a very good match. Of course, the one big spot I think early on in the match that people will remember, Mandy Rose was on the outside here. She was trying to set up this table here, which for the most part didn't really come into play for the most part, but she was setting up this table. She was really having a hard time getting it to stand up correctly and get it in the proper position, so she was struggling with that. Both women were actually pretty aggressive here. They were going at it here. I thought they both looked pretty good here. They wound up using that table on the outside for Mandy Rose to slingshot these chairs at Sonya Deville's head a couple of times, which she wound up ducking each time. So that was really the big spot with the table. They didn't really do anything else here. And they did use the chairs a couple of times here. Each of them did. But really nothing else. This was really, since it was a no disqualification match, really nothing as far as bending or breaking of the rules here. But I thought they looked pretty good here. I thought they were both aggressive. Ultimately, in the end, Mandy Rose did hit her variation of the Glam Slam, and then she hit this big running knee. And sure enough, at 10 minutes and 1 second, Mandy Rose did indeed defeat Sonya Deville, as I expected she would. I think a lot of people thought that Sonya was going to win this match, but I figured it'd be Mandy Rose for the fact that throughout most of this program, Sonya Deville has gotten the best of Mandy Rose. She's gotten most of the heat in, so I figured they were going to have Mandy Rose win here, and sure enough, she did win the match here. So 10 minutes and 1 second, Sonya Deville, obviously we all know what's going on with her. She's expecting to be taking some time off to deal with the serious situation that involved her here recently, and Mandy Rose, to that matter, as well. So Otis did come out afterwards here with the briefcase. They were celebrating in the ring. Otis did his caterpillar, and Mandy Rose actually did try to do a caterpillar, which was okay, I guess. But Mandy Rose won in 10 minutes and 1 second. I gave it a B. I thought this was actually pretty good. I wouldn't mind if they gave it a few more minutes. I thought they looked pretty good here. Mandy Rose winning was my pick, so that's what we had. I think that may have surprised some people here that Sonya didn't win here, but I figured Mandy Rose was getting the heat in the win anyway, so we had that. Next up was the street fight here between Seth Rollins and Dominic Mysterio. They showed Rey Mysterio Jr.'s wife, Angie. She was backstage. They did a thing with them a couple of times. They showed that. They showed her watching on the monitor initially as the match was going on here. I would say this I thought was the best match in the entire show, to be honest with you. Yeah, there was smoke and mirrors here. They did use the weapons here, but I thought Dominic held his own here with Rollins. Rollins took pretty good care of him as far as professional-wise. It was pretty good. It was a little slow early, a lot of stalling, a lot of plotting, but then it picked up here. Maybe Dominic was a little nervous here, so they were kind of going slow early. It picked up here. Good stuff here. The weapons did come into play here with the kendo sticks and all that kind of stuff. We just move on here late in the match here. They did this deal here where Rollins brought out these handcuffs. I initially thought it was going to be Dominic who was going to be tied up in the ropes with the handcuffs, but it wound up being Rey Mysterio Jr. that wound up getting handcuffed to the ropes here. Angie did come out here onto the stage here to get a closer look. Rey told her to go back. She wound up staying out there. Eventually, Rey Mysterio gets handcuffed to the ropes. Rollins and Murphy, again, no Austin Theory to be mentioned or seen anywhere here, but they eventually, once they got Rey handcuffed to the rope, they kind of turned their attention to Angie. They kind of teased that something might happen here. Dominic was able to cut him off here, so they didn't do anything here, and she just kind of disappeared afterwards. So we just get back into it here. Ultimately, Seth Rollins worked Dominic over, and he eventually nailed the stomp on him with Rey handcuffed to the rope, so he had to watch it. He gave him the stomp and got the win here at 22 minutes and 35 seconds. So, I mean, this was the right outcome, I guess. I had picked Dominic to win. I thought maybe they were going for the swerve here, the you'll never see it coming moment here. I thought they were going to go for it here, but they went with Rollins here. It was predictable. I thought they would maybe go the other way here, but the match itself, I thought Dominic looked very good here. Yeah, smoke and mirrors aside, I thought he looked pretty good here. I thought Seth Rollins treated him pretty well here in the match. I gave this an A-. I thought this was the best match on the entire show here. We know there's more than likely going to be a tag team match with Rollins and Murphy taking on Dominic and Rey Mysterio Jr., likely at Payback, so I expect we may get 50-50 booking then, but Seth Rollins got the win here nevertheless. I thought they were going to go the other way, but that's what happened there. Otherwise, I thought it was a very good match. Next match was the WWE Raw Women's title match here. This was the second match for Asuka. We had Sasha Banks defending that Raw Women's title here against Asuka here. These two have had great chemistry together. It was no different different here. Great storytelling here. They could have given this match more time as well, in all honesty. I know Asuka had a match earlier on here. They did a deal after that match with Bayley where they went after her knee. They did this big slam. She hurt her knee, selling the knee. So Sasha worked over the knee here for a while. I just love the storytelling here, the psychology in the match. Really back and forth here. Again, they could have given this match plenty more time. Ultimately, we get towards the end here. They had Bayley try to get up on the ropes here to try to help Sasha, much like Sasha had helped Bayley earlier on here. So they were going to do a deal once again into the ropes here, but Asuka was coming off the ropes. Bayley wound up moving this time. Asuka was going to go for her butt bomb again. Bayley wound up moving, not taking the heat here. Asuka wound up kicking Bayley off the apron there, knocked her out to the floor. And ultimately, she got Sasha Banks after Sasha had gotten the bank statement on her a little earlier. Asuka wound up getting her Asuka lock onto Sasha Banks. Bayley didn't really try to come back into the ring to do anything. Sasha wound up tapping out at 11 minutes and 30 seconds. Asuka is indeed the Raw Women's Champion. So this was expected here. I think a lot of us kind of figured that Sasha was losing the title here. That's exactly what happened here. So they're clearly on the road now to the split with Bayley and Sasha here. Sasha did not look happy. Bayley kind of had that smug look on her face here if you were watching. So Bayley does not help Sasha here in this instance. Sasha loses the Raw Women's title. So the moniker of Sasha not holding on to the women's title for very long comes into play yet again. Asuka is the champion. Shayna Baszler did not come out afterwards. We did see her on the pre-show talking about, having the next shot, but she did not come out afterwards to do anything to Asuka here. Nobody else came out. There was no Charlotte Flair. I thought maybe there would be a chance that Charlotte would make an appearance here. She did not come out. So they're clearly going for the Asuka, Shayna Baszler stuff now, and the split with Bayley and Sasha Banks is underway. We know they're defending the tag team titles at Payback, and I think we all pretty much know how that's going to end, but this was a good match. I gave it a B+. I love this match. They could have given this more time, in all honesty. So, Asuka is the new Raw Women's Champion once again. Next match was for the WWE title. We had Drew McIntyre defending that title against Randy Orton. There was a lot going into this one. We did see Shawn Michaels. He was in his home here. He was hoping, putting his money and his support behind Drew McIntyre. He wanted to see him take care of Randy Orton here. So they had the match here. They worked their way. They were on the outside for a while. I don't know. I don't know about this match. It was there. I mean, both guys got their heat in. McIntyre got his heat on Orton. Orton got his heat in. There was blood in the match. I believe Orton got busted open at one point on his head. They just worked around for a while here. Both guys tried to hit their finishers at one point. McIntyre went for a Claymore. Couldn't get it. Randy Orton tried to set up for his RKO. He couldn't get it. He tried to set up for the punt at one point as well. He couldn't get it. Just a lot of back and forth action here. Just at the end here, Randy Orton, he's getting ready to go for his RKO to try to win the match. McIntyre avoided it, and he wound up using a backslide, and he pinned Randy Orton at 20 minutes and 35 seconds to retain the WWE title. This was a surprise to me. I figured Randy Orton, and I think a lot of us figured as well, that Randy Orton was winning the title here. He did not win the title, and sure enough, there was no interference. Nobody came down. Ric Flair did not appear. I thought Ric Flair was going to probably show up to help Orton win. That did not happen here. We did not see Ric Flair come out, and McIntyre won on the backslide. So I guess this was the you'll never see it coming moment. I thought this was very lackluster, in all honesty. I thought this finish just, it was surprising, but not in the good way. It kind of came off flat to me. So McIntyre retaining was a bit of a surprise here. We obviously are going to get another match with these two. We'll probably see it at Payback, and we'll see what happens from there. I gave this a C-. I don't know. It just felt like there was something off on the match here. I didn't think this needed to go as long as it did personally, so we had that. Your final match for the night here was for the WWE Universal title. It was a Falls Count Anywhere match with Braun Strowman, the champion, defending that title against Bray Wyatt here. here. This was not a very good match. I knew these two would not really knock it out of the park. This did not look good here. A lot of plotting, a lot of stalling here. Nothing really spectacular about the match. We just get late in the match here. Braun Strowman exposes the ring here. He uses a box cutter and tears up the actual ring here to expose the foam under the mat, and then we actually see the wood here. So I guess, yeah, I guess that was a you'll never see it coming moment here. We've seen that before. Obviously, they don't do it very often, but, Braun Strowman, you never know what he was going to go for. But, Bray Wyatt, they had worked their way into the back earlier. They did a deal where Wyatt had hit Sister Abigail in Gorilla in front of Vince McMahon, though we never saw Vince, but we know he was there. And they eventually just worked their way out to this spot here, and Bray Wyatt ultimately catches Braun Strowman, hits Sister Abigail on him not once, but twice, and he winds up pinning him to win the match at 11 minutes and 58 seconds here. We did not see Alexa Bliss. We did not see Nikki Cross. Neither of them came out to do anything. But who did come out? It was the returning Roman Reigns here. So Roman Reigns comes out of nowhere here. I guess that's the moniker. And he just goes all in on Bray Wyatt here. I guess this was a surprise, but not really a surprise, because there had been a lot of talk, a lot of discussion that maybe Roman Reigns was getting ready to come back, and you knew what he was coming back for. He wasn't losing his spot here. He was obviously going to be in contention, and there was all this talk that, he was going to have a program with Wyatt, and that's exactly where they're going here. Roman Reigns wound up laying out Bray Wyatt. He had a big spear, and he stood tall, and that's how they went off the air. That was it. I gave the match a D+ itself. It was not very good. 11 minutes, 58 seconds. Roman Reigns makes his, I think, expected, but I didn't know if they were really going to do it. I kind of kept it in the back of my mind, return here, and obviously that's the program they're going with next, and Braun Strowman, who knows where he goes from here. So that was it. That's how SummerSlam went off the air. So overall, I thought this was a decent show. This was not a blowaway show. Nothing, the you'll never see it coming tagline, I thought for the most part was a fail here. I guess, the stuff with Roman Reigns making his return in the end, I guess you could say that, but I kind of expected it, reading and seeing all the talk about it heading up into it. You knew what he was coming back for. So as far as my official grade for this, I gave it, I'll give it a C+. It was decent, not a blowaway show. Really not a whole lot of big surprises or swerves overall, and they really tried to play up that hashtag. We never saw Retribution, by the way, either. They showed a video package during the pre-show and on the main portion of the show, but Retribution did not play a factor in the show. We did not see them. And I guess that was it. So a C+ is my official grade for WWE SummerSlam 2020. Let me know down in the comments section below what your favorite match was, and if you agree with my grade, and we'll see you the next time for the next review here on YouTube. Bye for now, everyone.